Hey everyone, welcome to Beach Investing. I'm your host, Andrei Angelkovski. Today we are with a very special guest, Tim Syrianos. How are you doing, Tim?
Hey Andrei, how are you?
Excellent. Tim Syrianos is the broker of record, owner of Remax Ultimate, which is my brokerage. About 7 years ago, Tim was my real estate agent when I first started investing in real estate, and you inspired me to get into the field, so thank you for that.
Oh, thank you for that great compliment.
Absolutely. And tell us a little bit about Remax Ultimate, your company.
Well, Remax Ultimate was founded in 1985. There are now 2 locations. One of them is right here at 1739 Bayview Avenue. The other one is at 1272 Dundas Street West. And we're really a family of 185 first-class professionals, you know, and you're one of them, obviously.
Thank you. It's a big company, and everyone is great to work with. So.
Oh, thank you.
Absolutely.
Work hard at that.
So you've been in the business for about 23 years, right?
Yep.
You have quite a bit of experience dealing with agents, dealing with customers, clients, and you invest yourself.
I do.
Which is important for our viewers. So what I wanted to bring to our viewers' attention today is the importance of buyer representation. Can you sort of explain to us, you know, this didn't really sort of exist about 10 years ago. It did, but it didn't. Can you kind of explain why didn't it exist?
Well, it goes a little bit further back than that, where it didn't exist. Maybe when I got my license close to 20 some years ago. But buyer agency really was a necessity of our industry. It had to come, and we have to applaud our industry for actually, you know, stepping up and really pushing this, because at the end of the day, it does promote the integrity of our industry, and it helps the consumer, the buyer and the seller. In the day before buyer agency existed, it was quite kind of a minefield out there, where a lot of realtors would go out and tell a buyer client that, or a buyer, what they would be really as a customer, because back in the day, the realtor worked for the seller's best interest and acted only fairly for the buyer. So things that could affect the value of the property or the motivation of the seller were not to be disclosed, even though a lot of realtors would tell their buyer customers, to say it correctly, that they are at the mercy of, you know, let's try to get the house. I think we can get the house at that price, which is really not right.
Okay.
I hope that helps.
It does, but now how does this sort of impact investors? Because there's something that is to be said, the importance of buyer representation, especially for investors. Can you comment on that?
Well, you know, that's a great point, because for investors, when I used to represent a lot of the investors, you being one of them, obviously, what did I do? I wanted to find out what the emerging trends were in the neighborhood. I wanted to know what the repairs may be needed, what kind of depreciation was attached to it, or the roof condition. I wanted to see what was in the neighborhood around that property. Was there a slaughterhouse or something? Remember that one, right? Yeah. We saw that one that could affect the value of your property, you know, long term. Maybe it's the demographic of the tenants that are in there, duration of leases. These are things where, when you have a buyer agency agreement, you are acting in the best interest of the buyer under a contract, a buyer contract, and you're diligently working to find and provide the right advice.
Right. So in a way, you're acting with fiduciary duties to that client.
Very strong ones.
So you're looking after their confidentiality.
Most definitely.
Seller motivation, which you wouldn't be able to disclose if you were not
a client.
A client.
That's correct.
So hence the importance of buyer representation, especially with investors, because they really want to know this stuff.
That's correct.
Especially with cash flow, you want to talk about tenants, vendor motivation. You need to be a buyer under buyer representation to be able to have that information.
Well, it's certain information that you want to seek out, and you know, you're working in the best. At the end of the day, by having a buyer rep agreement between your investor and your realtor, the realtor's obligations are to do everything possible to work in the best interest of the investor. Okay?
Well,
and that's the best way to, one sentence, answer the question.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
I appreciate it. Thanks, Tim. Thanks, guys.